We're back once again, folks. Big Sam and Nephews, our sports podcast. We do it pretty much every week. We come on the air and we just talk about sports topics, and it's very low key. But anyway, I want to please subscribe to this particular podcast, not particular podcast, the podcast. Like I said, we talk about sports and we have some sponsors that I'd like to get out the way really, really quick. Big Sam and Nephews is sponsored by my guy market at 504 East Belmont Avenue here in the wonderful city of Fresno, California. And by the way, I live in Fresno, California. My nephew lives in Sacramento. Nathan's up the highway in Sacramento. I'm from Sacramento, but
Me
that's why I
too.
know Nathan. But anyway, all that being said, want I want to get back on topic. My guy
Our
Mark,
fabulous engineer is in the wonderful city of Atlanta.
Yeah.
right? And I just found out today, Nathan, that Eddie's back. I think
Good.
it looked like they took a picture of Eddie and the owner, Floyd Sanchez, wonderful guy.
Outstanding. In America, Eddie, Sam is talking about, excuse me, the owner of My Guy Market at 504 East Belmont Avenue that has the wonderful Checkmate sandwich. That's Eddie. I know that's Floyd Sanchez, and Eddie is the cook that puts it all together.
Correct.
Of course, our
Correct.
other sponsor is Fresno Social Sports, where adults come to play, and they have Sam's favorite sport
Pickleball.
and name of sport, pickleball. Sam hates pickles. America, Sam hates pickles, so that's why I had to get it in there. All right,
Well,
what do you got for us, Sam?
no, I don't. I don't hate pickles. I just don't care much for dill pickles much anymore. Don't get that out there wrong. I gotta say it right.
Okay.
Uh,
All right, America. Sam does not hate pickles. In fact, Sam
I
has made
just don't.
it clear he
I
doesn't
don't.
use the word hate,
Yeah, I don't like that word. It's not a good word for me.
but Sam
Definitely
prefers
personally.
not to masticate on pickles.
Right. But I like relish. I'm a big relish fan, and I want to tell you really, 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 really quick. Friends on Social Sports is sponsored by. It's one of my other sponsors too, and then they also have the owner of that particular establishment. Friends on Social Sports is Eric DeYoung. Big shout out to Eric. So anyway, let's get right into it. We were
Awesome.
talking
What do you
off
got for us, buddy?
we were talking off the air about ratings and this particular sports journalist, which I think he kind of carries his topics into some really nitty gritty, nasty. Jason Whitlock.
What did he say? What did he say? What did he say now?
No. I'm repeating. I'm paraphrasing now. Uh, he's always down talking black folks. Always. Anything black folks do, he is really anti-black. He's black himself, but he's really anti-black. It's like he is not entertaining to me at all. I don't know if I probably despise him about as bad as I despise Stephen A. Smith with the ESPN.
I like Stephen A. I like Stephen A. He's not real
That's just my
popular.
opinion.
He is. He's incredibly
He's very
popular.
popular.
He's very popular. But you know what? I think you're not the first person that has said that, Big Sam. You know, I think as Stephen A's as his shtick, actually, to pronunciate it correctly, you know, that for all I know, I've never met the man, but that may not be his actual personality. You know, the bombastic sort of over talking. He's got some treat in him. He's got some treat in him.
Right.
But you know what? To me, I think you made a great point. Stephen A. versus Jason Whitlock. You know, who they have their sort of TV personalities. I don't think
Right.
I don't think Stephen A. crosses, you know, the sort of I don't know, racial line. I don't like to bring race into it so much, but I think on the other hand, I think that Jason, Mr. Whitlock, you know,
Does.
I'm not convinced that he hates one race or loves one race, you know, including like his own race of people, but he does. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He does say things and paints pictures and tells stories absolutely with an almost, I won't say disdain, but like for instance, we talked about the young congresswoman from Texas who got into it with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay, so the next week, Marjorie Taylor Greene started talking about, Congresswoman, do you know what you're talking about? Can you read through those false eyelashes? And that, that's going to set anyone back. And that's when the young congresswoman, who could be president one day, said, Mr. Speaker, I want to know if it'd be okay to ask a bleach blonde, butch body, whatever. And you got these old 80-year-old congressmen up there. What? What are you talking about? What? Eyelashes and bleach blonde and all this. It was over their head, or maybe they were acting that way. And so the next week, Jason comes on, as I go on and on and on, my apologies, and just comments that the young congresswoman, the younger of the two, who happens to be black, by the way, is just an embarrassment to Congress. And she said this during the House session. He knew that she didn't start it. He knew that Marjorie Taylor Greene was the first one to fire a salvo, right, at her, and what's her name was just responding back. But he leaves that out and just comments on how the other one, is out of line and doesn't belong in Congress and all this kind of embarrassment. So he does that. I believe the man is not stupid. He does that to drive ratings because why? He knows that the MAGA types, okay, are gonna love that and probably say, "Oh, see, there's one. Yeah, he agrees with us," kind of thing, right? And then people that are not MAGA, not
Nate,
large anything, but who don't care for him. Yes, sir.
Well, Nate, just go ahead and just say what it is. I mean, Whitlock, he's on Fox
all day. He's on Fox.
So Fox is geared towards the right.
Yeah.
So for him to keep his job, he has to play that card. I mean, unfortunately, with Stephen A. I mean,
caters.
Yes.
Yeah,
go ahead.
And I personally like Stephen A. I mean, I like him for who he is. Now, some of the stuff is a little outlandish. I can't get with everything that he says, but I kind of get a decent feel of what Stephen A. typically is trying to convey. Now he's still on the right. He's still got his own little stuff he does politically, but at least I kind of know how to navigate who he is. Yeah, but Whitlock, he just plays that other side and just attacks instead of having a true conversation.
Well,
those attacks seem to be a little bit one-sided, right?
Yeah.
Seem to be. They are one-sided.
They're definitely one-sided a lot of times.
I temper what I say, because all you have to do is all anybody has to do to counter that, the word always or the concept never or whatever, is find one video from 100 years ago where he's fair and balanced. Oh no, see, yeah, he's fair, so that's why. Sam, you don't like the word hate. I'm careful about the word never or the words never or always.
Well, there are certain key words like never. People will misconstrue that word too. What's one of the other words? The simple words. These simple words can be misconstrued with simple words with mounds and mounds.
Deliberately misconstrued. Misconstrued, because people use those words, lightheartedly, and knowing that they don't really mean never or always. Right. No. Or but if it's 99.9999% of the time, then that means never or always is incorrect, right? So that's why, like, you don't use hate, and you prefer not to have slices of pickles, right? I mean, you corrected me a minute ago, and you were right to do so. You said you don't hate them, you just don't care for them. Right, and you're right. Guess what?
I like sweet relish on my hot dogs and whatnot, but that's just me.
But you don't care for dill pickles. I get it, right? So I should never again say Sam hates pickles. You're right. Okay, So yeah, so Jason, but guess what? Guess what? We might be overlooking the whole thing. Jason Whitlock might be the most down bro ever, but he gets paid
Definitely not. He is
to say
definitely.
things. I mean, the man is not stupid, but so he can see what's going on and what's not going
He
on.
makes controversial statements.
Yes, of course.
He's
But
definitely
yeah,
he's definitely
well,
a
see,
conservative. He's definitely a conservative on the conservative side. He's
right.
And the other thing that
registered.
he does too, that I guess for me, and this is just my own opinion, he brings God into this scenario a lot too.
Hey, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he just says it a lot. This is not godly. I said, well, who are you to judge what's not godly and is godly? But
he's on Fox. I didn't know that. Thank you, Parker. But that makes perfect sense now. That's why. Because guess what? They all do it. They all do it. What's the guy from San Francisco? Our brothers and sisters from New York might disagree with this, but I do believe that San Francisco is America's most European town. I know Europe quite well, and most progressive town, so to speak. Well, this guy Tucker Carlson grew up, born and raised in San Francisco or the Bay Area. I think he was born. He's from the city, right?
Yeah.
And so, how did he become a multi-gazillion dollar a year guy for sports? I mean, for Fox, right? Having grown up in San Francisco.
I mean, I think where you grow up, I don't think it really matters. I think it's the views that you have. And I think Tucker, now if I will say one thing about Tucker in his enlightenment, I call this what he's having now, his enlightenment period.
You're making my next point.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I just think that he said something a couple of interviews ago, Candace Owen, yada yada, right? All these people that are like coming out, Charlie Kirk, that were like, hey, we're moving back over here into your morality. And I think that part is starting to hit him where he's like, he's not totally like, you can be a conservative. I think you could be a black conservative. I think most people are conservative. I think most people are conservatives. I don't think liberalism is like the best way to go, to be honest. I think when you just say, hey, look, you have different sets of liberalism, right? So you have an ultra extreme liberal, and then you have like a conservative liberal, but I just think the word is totally
I think most people are moderate when it comes down to it. It's one way is never right. Sometimes you go this way. That's
I mean, like the new word right now is social democrat, right? So that's Mondani. That's
so stupid.
Yeah, then you have the rift inside of the Democratic Party.
Words, and they just they bend them and stretch them into what fits into
their narrative
ideology.
No, well, it's even bigger than that. I mean, I know, we're on a sports podcast,
but we're talking about politics today, fellas.
But I would say, man, it's a lot of this stuff are ping words to scare you. Socialism, communism, these are key words that are pinged to scare somebody into thinking a different way.
What scares me is that, I think that most
capitalism scares me.
Ideologies are.
I mean, I think we're all capitalists at some point.
Socialists, right? and there are many people that don't really understand what makes someone, like communist, socialist, liberal, progressive. I mean, they just kind of
just
like
words.
Water cooler talk.
Yeah.
Water cooler talk.
Yeah.
Whatever their buddy at work says, whatever the next door neighbor says, with conviction. I mean, sadly, so many people won't spend 10 minutes out of the course of a year, really discussing, debating, and analyzing what's the right direction. I mean, I don't think you ever go like this. I watched this was before, I think the war in Europe had started, World War II, and it started in September of '39. and we didn't get involved until we got bombed on December 7th, 41.
Right.
Okay, Sam, you remember that day?
Yes, I do.
You remember I
I
think
wasn't born.
you read the newspaper on December 8th,
Right.
41, right?
I no, I was not born. I was born in 1954, but I know about the. I know.
Excuse me, Sam. Excuse me. Okay.
You said
All right.
1941.
So,
I wasn't even born.
Thought
well, I
about it.
thought
You was in
about 10
Neverland
or something. I thought you were reading the newspaper. All right.
No,
Pardon me,
no.
America. So Sam wasn't born yet.
No.
Oh, hadn't been born yet. Okay. So anyway, between 39 when the war started, after Germany attacked Poland and then Czechoslovakia, I remember FDR giving a speech and using the word pacifist. To your point, Parker, using the word pacifist. Words that are right for the time, because people are still like, okay, we had World War I, we don't want to get involved in another war kind of thing. So a word like pacifist worked, and it's like, oh, he's for peace, and he's not going to get us in the war. He's not going to get our boys killed. This kind of thing. If you imagine using the word pacifist today, imagine you would be. I mean, you would be.
You're not fit for office.
Image.
You
would be out of office. Your image would kill you overnight. You know what I mean? So different words work for different times. Now, to the point, Tucker Carlson, right? Having just like a word like pacifist, or warmonger wouldn't work also, even if someone might be a warmonger. I mean, I'm not casting any aspersions, but
Nathan,
if you grew up and where you grew up, the reason I think it has to do, because it's going to shape it will tend to shape your certainly exposures, certainly what you would or wouldn't say growing up there. You'd be ostracized, perhaps, right? But then to sort of drive that point home a little bit further, I think the bottom line is who's paying you. Whitlock gets paid by Fox. Tucker Carlson got paid by Fox. Then they got rid of him because
he went the other way.
He said something that was going to cost him some money.
He went off script. He went off script.
Right.
Okay. But see, now Tucker Carlson is back to the middle, maybe even leaning toward the progressive side in his comments.
I think he's more. This is what I think he's more. I think he's still a conservative. I think like I say, I think he's opened his eyes and say, hey, look, we always talk about being conservative or being fiscally responsible or all these things that the Conservative Party nails into everything. They're supposed to be the most fiscally responsible party, but they spend the most money. And then the Democrats are the liberals, and we spend the most money. We can't balance the budget. So now he's starting to see where it's like, dude, and I think it's a lot of people where they're seeing, hey, look, we've been going to war for 175 years, literally. And I'm playing, literally. We've been at war with somebody for 100 and some years. We don't know.
War makes us
the money. So now
that's what it.
He's starting to come over, and he's like, you know what? We've been being told for 9/11 that all Muslims were bad. And Muslims did 9/11. Now he starts seeing the truth. You know what? Muslims didn't do this. Hey, we know that the Palestinians aren't doing this. You know what? The Israeli government is really the people that is behind a lot of different things.
Right.
Or the Mossad said that?
Yes. Yes, he's been going on. That's why I say it's an enlightenment moment where they're all starting to wake up like, yo, we're really being ran by the Mossad government or, other foreign entities inside the White House. Yeah. So
Israel.
But that goes back to even a bigger point of, I was talking to somebody else. This is why, if you look back at Obama's term, when he started rejecting Israel, that's when a lot of the things started kind of going off kilter. And they started looking at him kind of different, like, well, why are you rejecting what Israel is doing?
Yeah.
Well, like, they want us to do something, like, why don't you just do it? See, and he's like, well, no, we're not doing that.
President Trump is the first one that gave Israel the green light for a lot of things. President Trump is the first one. They're like, yo, you got it. And I mean, you can see it now. It's just unfiltered mayhem, right?
It's unfiltered racism.
Yeah,
is what it is.
It is unfiltered
and people
racism.
don't want to say that word. And another word, going back to what Nathan said, you remember that word hawk?
No.
You know, probably too young for that.
Hawk. Ad hoc. Hawk.
No. About hawk being hawkish on
right.
America.
Oh,
Under war. That's like your pro war. Well, they use a term back in the day saying, well, he's a hawk on America. But one more point I want to ask everybody too on this panel, which by the way, my other nephew Javier Parker's in with us today too. Do you find that you're personally yourself, are you a little conservative about certain things?
I am.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%.
I am.
100%.
Well, I'm gonna give you a prime example.
But I'm socialist about some things too.
Yeah.
To me, that's called
it's down the middle.
That's moderation.
It's
balance. Middle of the road, with flexible, malleable.
And the other point I want to make: do you find that your grandparents, my mother, was conservative?
She was very conservative. Yeah. And racist.
Right.
No, I don't know. She's racist.
She was definitely prejudiced.
Yeah, she was prejudiced. She was a racist.
Well, no. She
or cautious.
No. Okay. We're going cautious.
No, cautious she was better. No, I'm gonna tell you what she was. I lived with her probably longer than you all have. She was very conservative about some things. Certain things she was conservative about. She was never going to be a woman off the kilter. She always kind of went, not with everybody else, but I can remember. You got to remember, we grew up in a Christian family.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We got raised in the church originally, and then of course, when I was 12 years old, mother converted to Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for me,
but a lot of the stuff that she took from church still
holds true to the day.
Yeah, right. It's still translated either way. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things that you came up learning, you know what I'm saying? We got passed down to us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think she got the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing, and I'm going to say this, and I'm by no means at all racist at all. I don't have a racist bone in my body. But she used to tell us all the time that you cannot do what you see white people do.
Yeah. Oh, you still can't. You can, but you can't.
Well, that's my point. She drove that into us. Basically, she was saying, look, you got to go by the book on everything. On everything. You can't.
What state was Miss Williams from?
She's from Oklahoma. Originally.
She was born in Oklahoma, raised in Texas, and came out here. Her mother, my grandmother, and my mother. My mother only had an 8th grade education because my grandmother pulled her out of school, and she had to help out on the farm.
So basically, the South,
correct?
Right? Mid-South, whatever, right?
Bible Belt,
yeah,
right.
Yeah. So, but she had experiences that were not, she saw firsthand things that were not as sort of openly, blatant, readily available, or readily demonstrated here on the West Coast. All right. So you have to imagine that a person like that. My mother was from Texas, from Waco, Texas, right? And she lived there for her first 7 or 8 years or something when she grew up in San Francisco. But, a person from down south, like who was our parents' or grandparents' generation, man, it's a different reality, right? My uncle, Frankie's dad, Frank's dad, his name is Frank, but we all call him Frankie, Well, he's a junior. So Frank Brown Sr. said to me, a day or two before I was leaving for basic training, And he used to call me, he had a nickname for everybody. He called me Nathan Hale. He said, Nathan Hale, you know, because he knew I was going to go to Texas for basic, and then I was going to spend 6 months in Mississippi for air traffic control school.
Give him hell,
He
Nathan.
said, Nathan Hale, he said, listen, keep your eyes open. The South hadn't changed. He just said the main point. He said the South hadn't changed. And this was, you know, not not so long ago like when he grew up there, right? He saw people be lynched, this kind of thing, you know. So that has to affect your psychology. So I understand Mr. Williams absolutely saying, listen, you know, you better be by the book, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I love America. I'm American. I'm a proud American, but I'm not, you know,
naive.
Look,
you know,
look.
the other thing, Nathan, is
you know, when somebody gets shot and killed, somebody unarmed gets shot and killed, you can almost unarmed now. You know, you can almost, without reading the article, you can just about tell what that person looked like. Okay.
Well,
It's gonna, when somebody is shot and killed by a police officer, I'm talking about unarmed, shot and killed by a police officer. That's basically always going to be a young man of color.
Yeah,
but Nathan, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Parker. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, even for me and my brother, you know, living here in Atlanta, you know, Atlanta's actually changing, but
I gotta hear.
On the surface, it's changing, but underneath, it's still the deep South. So, like, you know, like me and my brother, we stay, you know, he stays in, you know, Upper Gwinnett County. I stay in Gwinnett County also. We're in a fluent neighborhood.
The North.
But at the same time, like, although we're still in a fluent neighborhood, like, I have an app called Neighborhood app.
Oh, and it's like the best app ever.
Yeah.
Everybody
when all my Caucasian brothers and sisters started talking about ghetto birds, that was hilarious to me. but you know, I go in this app and I can still kind of see, like, there's still some undertone even within my own neighborhood. And we got a lot of, you know, we got older, you know, Black people that were retired African Americans. We got, you know, retired, you know, Latinos. You know, we got, you know, middle class, you know what I'm saying? So we got different classes of people in the same neighborhood. And it's changing, but it's just surface level is changing. But deep down, it's still brewing other stuff, other old stuff that still, you know, it still kind of pops its head up every once in a while.
And what they've been raised with, and that's my point, is what they've been raised with and what they were taught and told, and a lot of that stuff is not true. You know,
but
all Black people are not bad people.
No, not all Black people are bad people, but I think we're in this weird dynamic right now of where, like, our kids, me and my brother's kids, they're actually now branching out and being more exploratory, if that's a word. I made up that
exploratory.
Parker,
it's
exploratory.
But you know, they're definitely branching out, seeking and doing other things that's not within the norm that we were taught.
I think
so. You know, good.
I was gonna say, I think that something that we're crucially missing, the piece. Well, we probably haven't touched on the piece, but something that we're crucially missing is the media, and how the media, music, whatever, how it exposes. I mean, this is the biggest role.
Big role.
Just me and Nathan, we talked about it, just going to China and going to Hong Kong, going to all these places. Like, I was just telling my wife today, I was like, damn, that was like the first time that I didn't have to look at the news and look at to see what crime is going on in my neighborhood. That was some place that I didn't have to even worry about crime. Like, I literally, people asked me while I was there, and people will talk about China's communist, China's, man, whatever, dude, shut up. Y'all ain't been there. Look, it is wonderful. Like, I don't care. It's, the government is the government, right? But everything else is okay. Like, you know, I can't really stress about it. But something that people look at Americans, and Nathan, you probably seen this traveling, is, and I think Asia is different from Europe, Where in Asia is like, hey, do you have, like, I literally had this question. Do you have a gun? How many guns do you have? What is the crime like? Is it safe in America? Like, these are legitimate questions. And then you have to sit back and be like, yo, America is really not safe. Like, literally, America is really not safe.
Crazy enough, like, I was just reading an article about, like, FIFA, and, like, even, like, the people coming here to America, coming to Atlanta. I'll just take our city, for example. Like, people were on these different, blogs and these different channels asking, well, is it safe to come to America? Like,
Right.
how much security is going to be there? One person even popped out was like, "Wait, is ICE going to be at every event that I'm going to be at? Am I going to get deported? Am I going to, what I'm saying?" So, like, they have a different view of us outside of us, and we still have our own view inside
Side
the
of
whole.
America. Like,
What I'm
Yep.
saying?
Right.
So
How
that,
we doing for time, Javier?
we're over, but it's okay. We could take a commercial break now.
Okay.
Go ahead. We'll stop right now. Big Sam and Nephews will be back.
Give us 30 seconds.
Big Sam and Nephews is sponsored. Second half of Big Sam and Nephews, sponsored by My Guy Market at 504 East Belmont Avenue here in the wonderful city of Fresno, California, where I live. And the owner of My Guy Market is Floyd Sanchez, and big ups to Eddie, the cook. And then also, Big Sam and Nephews is also sponsored by Fresno Social Sports, where adults come to play and connect and have fun, and they are one community at a time. And then that Fresno Social Sports is owned by Eric DeYoung, my good friend. All right, we're talking about the some other issues, just around. I want to switch it up because we're going to talk about the World Cup going on now, which is like kind of a lead into what we were talking about. Being in China. Well, fortunately, my nephews have traveled abroad. They've traveled to China. You traveled to Jamaica. They've made to travel over to Europe. I have only been to the basic. I've been to Canada and Mexico, and that's been it.
Yay.
So Mexico.
Yay, Mexico.
Right. But
Yep. Now you were talking about, somebody mentioned something about the media and the influence on people in general and the young in particular.
That's where we ended up. Right. The media plays a huge part. Been part of the reason is that these kids now, they're growing up in an age where computers and all this other, I call it crap that I don't understand. But of course, I didn't grow up. I grew up putting a dime in the payphone. Like you don't see really payphones at all.
No.
More.
No, they don't exist anymore.
They don't. They're like right. So my point is that the times have changed, and you either got to get with the program or get left. And I'm a senior now, so I really have to be on the ball about things. I really do. It's tough because I don't want to get left out in the cold. And
well, how do you feel, Sam? How do you feel about computers, good or bad? And
I like them.
The age of the internet and this massive exposure, especially on the young, good or bad? What do you think?
Good.
I think it's good.
Once you understand it, and get understand the computer. See, what happens is in my generation, people are afraid of what? Because like even I'm somewhat still afraid about certain things that I don't want to touch it. But I'm from the I don't want to put my hands on it, put my finger on it and touch it. I don't want to mess up. I'm from that particular era. That's the era I grew up in. It's like I remember. I'm going off script real quick. I remember my mom, my mother, and father bought a washer and a combo, washer and dryer. Right. Mrs. Williams said, do not touch that washer or dryer, and we didn't touch it. So she would wash the clothes and dry them, right? All in the same apparatus, correct? She'd go in the den and put all the socks and the shirt, and we'd fold our clothes.
So Sam, had you touched it, would you have been given a timeout?
What?
Oh, no.
What is that?
There wasn't no timeouts.
What's the
A
timeout?
shoe or a belt upside my head. See, I'm from another era.
Javier said, "What's a timeout?"
I don't even know what that is.
I'm not from that timeout era. I'm not from that.
Neither was I.
My kids don't. My grandson don't even know what a timeout is. You better go sit down somewhere before I smack you upside the head, little boy.
Yeah.
But my point is that time to change.
Right.
Certain things are better for our society, and then certain things, to me, are to detriment of society. I work with kids during the daytime.
But what would you? So I think computers. Here's my take, and I want to get all four involved, and as we move forward, I'm a teacher. You guys know that, and I think that evolution is good. I mean, this evolution will never stop. The world is always going to change and grow and digress in some ways, whatever, right? But it's never going to stay constant. The change is constant. It's maybe one of the only constants, right? So yeah, I say that computer, internet, and this massive exposure are good. There are downfalls to it. We need to keep an eye on things because I get talk back from kids that I would have never imagined when I was growing up. When we were growing up, there's just no way. One sort of the case in point would be, and the kid wasn't being bad, but he mentioned, I won't say the name of the celebrities, but it's kind of well known or certainly well rumored about. This kid, I'm a substitute teacher. I was in middle school that day, and the kid said, "Oh, this guy, and there's three altogether, this husband and wife, and then this guy, they're Illuminati." And he said it just matter of factly,
He said they're Illuminati?
I'm thinking, man, I didn't hear about the Illuminati until I was 35. I had no idea, he's 12 or 13-year-old sort of thing, right? So why? Because they were exposed to it so much, so early that it's just a reality to them, right? So I think you got to maintain control. I think the other thing, staying on, good kids, bad kids, is the breakdown of the family. I think that's an even bigger influence. And sad topic, but let's just put it out there. So many of our kids, inner city kids across America, so many inner city kids in general, and Black kids in particular, are born and grow up in single parent households. And that absolutely affects what they're exposed to, their behaviors, this kind of thing, you see. So
it makes a huge difference, Nathan.
Oh yeah.
It does. And you're working with kids on a consistent basis like yourself, you see it all the time. See, I grew up in an era where and I'm sure a lot of other people that are right around my age, we had a mom and a dad. Javier and Parker had the same grandma and grandpa, right?
Right.
No grandma had a boyfriend. No grandpa had a girlfriend. They had a grandma and a grandpa the whole time. And just like with me, I had a mom and dad my whole time of growing up. So I don't know anything but my father and my mother being together. So,
I think
and I grew up in that particular era. Now, you get different, the society has changed so much, some for the good, some for the bad, it's either or. But I guess the biggest thing is that, and I want to say this really quick, they got to put God back and they got to put having praising the Lord in the schools.
Which one?
Praise the Lord.
What Lord? What God?
We all got the same God.
The Lord, God, Nathan.
But,
I know, but people are gonna no. But Nathan is asking a legitimate question, is because if I say,
but I have a different rebuttal to that, because I don't even think putting God back in the schools makes a difference. Because I actually come from the era of technology. which is crazy. Because I grew up with the internet.
You're an old bastard.
Which hey, your phone, your mic is on mute.
Oh.
I grew up with the internet, grew up with cell phones. You know what I'm saying? I came up with that era. And I think that's probably the worst thing that could have happened to my generation is having that access. You know what I'm saying? Even if you have God in schools, like we have God on the internet, it doesn't matter because you have false prophets. You have people that just have a mic and it says, "Hey, follow this," and it becomes almost a cult like situation.
Yeah, we took the books out.
I mean, we stopped truly learning. Like I even have to tell my kids, like, dude, get off the phone, read.
Yeah, read a book,
study, research.
But that was a good point, Javier. That was a real question, Sam. I wasn't being deliberately facetious.
No.
But if you bring God in, would
you
subscribe to the Christian God, the Muslim God,
the Hindu
God? Who would you or really, I'm not just being the devil's advocate on purpose. Or would you say maybe a way to do it is to say, if God is a thing versus math, English, and science, you could say, okay, at 10 o'clock, everybody's going to pray, maybe silently.
Yes.
You can pray to whoever whatever deity you subscribe to, right? I mean, that's constitutional.
That's crazy enough.
Or would you? I remember emceeing my class reunion, right? And a buddy of mine, who was a pastor now, right? Tim is his first name. And so I took the time sort of right before we were getting ready to eat, I was emceeing the thing. And I said, okay, guys, now's the time. If you do so choose to, maybe bow your head if you like and pay homage to, your whoever you subscribe to as a deity, right? Whether that be, Christian, Muslim. And as soon as I said something past Christian, my buddy, Tim, I mean, we're pals. We're still pals. He was sitting in there's probably 300 people there. We have a big, huge turnouts. He went, like that, like I blew something, right? And I'm always very careful, not just because I grew up here, speaking of where we grew up in the last segment, that my way is the right way and it's the only way and everybody else is wrong, right? I think we have to be careful with that. So I think the way to do it, if you want to bring God back into schools, would be to make room for everybody and make time for everybody and not just say it, but mean it, because.
But see, that thinking right there is what scares every single person here in America.
Yeah, they think we're founded. I think the thing is, they think we're founded on a Judeo-Christian society. We're not.
And we're not.
We're not. We're a secular society.
But see, but people don't want to think outside of their box. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's where this whole socialism thing comes from. Is like, well, we don't want to have to include this group. But in reality, everybody's included because we got to wake up and go to work.
Constitutionally, you're included. That's the thing.
Like, we wake up, we got to go
Freedom
to
of religion.
We got to work with people.
We're actually built on a socialist concept that people don't really understand when they start looking at the Constitution. It's like, dude, where our taxes are going to help the elderly, our taxes go to help the orphans. That's socialism. Our taxes go to help these things. The problem is that when we have the majority, and it's really not a majority, but when we have these majority white evangelists, because this is the part where it got bad. I think like the Tea Party made it bad, right? I think the Tea Party, I understand the Tea Party, but I get where the Tea Party made it bad, where it was like we turned politics on its head, where it's like us against them. Right. So that it started with the Tea Party, where you can have Reaganomics. You had many of people that was like, you know what? I don't understand. I don't get your politics all the time, but you're a good. Like if I looked at John McCain If I look at John McCain, who's a staunch Republican, a staunch this, I'm like, dude, you know who I will vote for? I will vote for John McCain. You know why?
McCain.
Because you included everybody inside of your, even though you're Republican, which really doesn't matter to me, but you included everybody inside of your vision of America. And now it's like, nope, you have to be this vision of America. And if you're not this vision of America, you're going to go to the left or to the right. And this is the box that we're putting you in. And then we have to start having these conversations back with staunch. And this is just on the 1% of Republicans, the people that are making the news. That's why the media is so important. And I think that's why Tucker Carlson and everybody who's waking up to what they have on their platform is starting to wake people up, because now it's like, if you're backed by AIPAC, you can see it in New York City, which has a huge population of Jews. You know who they didn't vote for? They didn't vote for none of them AIPAC dudes. You know who won? Everybody who was like, we're for the city. Mondani doesn't win without the Jewish vote.
Correct. Because you're right. Your Javier is so right.
I would say
Jewish population.
And you make some great points, Javier, about, for instance, if you compare, and I don't want to cast aspersions on either of the two primary parties in America, Dems and Republicans, right? But if you were to compare, I think the Republican Party has changed quite a bit. If you were to compare, go back just a few presidents, 41, George Bush Sr., even W to some extent, but let's talk about 41, right? If he was around today, he would be considered like
moderate.
He would be in the Republican Party. He would be absolutely
outlandish
side of the scale.
W's even more to the other side, and that's why I say sometimes you look at it, I'm like, damn, W don't look so bad to me.
That's compared to now, yeah.
Comparatively speaking, maybe, right?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, well, you didn't do nothing bad. You just have a different vision of America. And I get it. And that's the thing. When we start talking about visions of America, it doesn't matter if you're Democratic or Republican or independent. See, like we took all the independents out of the Green Party, of the Ross Perot's. Ross Perot had all these ideas. Ron Paul had all these great ideas. You know what they're doing? Nah, man, you're crazy. You're not crazy. You are doing things for the betterment of the 330 million people that we have in this country. That's what I want in office.
Starting with the average man.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not to go line your pockets, because if you start looking at politicians, they're like, hey, you go in and you have a slush fund, basically a fundraising. So that's a slush fund. And then, hey, look, why do some people go in? I'm going to just put AOC out there. And it doesn't really matter. But why are you a multimillionaire now? Why are you a multimillionaire now? Why, what are you doing? Like, Bernie Sanders is probably the only honest one that I would say that I love right now, is because you really want everybody to succeed. But now people go in and it's like, dude, you guys are voting. You guys are insider trading, like off the rip. You're insider trading. How do you go in and say, hey, my salary is $175,000 a year, but you know what? My portfolio was worth $45 million, and I only been in Congress for 10 years. Like, what do we do? Like, how do you get that?
You could explain that.
This is the thing that Americans need to start looking back on, white, black, whatever, and need to start really pushing back in how we vote. And people always get on, well, we don't vote. I mean, Nathan, I know we talked about, it's like, how do you vote? But it's like, dude, we really need to start getting on these people of how we vote. How are you representing me? How are you not representing me? People need to start going back into their Congress and start going into their state Senate houses that they do. They do it here in Georgia. So that's one thing, where you got to start doing these things and being functional.
Level. Yeah,
on the lower state level.
Right.
Yeah.
And we got like 5 minutes.
How are we looking for time?
We got like 5 minutes. We can finish it out. We got like 5 minutes, so
we'll talk a couple more minutes on this, and then I'm gonna wrap up. Go ahead.
But yeah,
But
no, I mean, I think one of the just a quick thing, along the lines of this is political marketing. A lot of this stuff that we are seeing is called political marketing. I had a professor, lady worked for Coke, marketing genius, and she taught us about stuff like this, putting things in our face and constantly having us see this stuff, but not understand the back end of what is happening. She put out ads for Sprite in the black community, not really having us understand on the back end. She, there you go, Sprite. You keep putting this stuff out there. We talk about ping words. We talk about socialism. Like we put this stuff out there, and they're feeding us this stuff in this media. This kind of goes back to what I was saying about media being or the technology being bad for us. We have to be very careful of how we consume technology and how we consume the media, because as we just talked about with with the guy on Fox, people will just say anything.
Yep.
And they just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it until eventually somebody down the line hears it enough to believe it.
And made it true.
Really quickly, guys, how do you feel about this Charleston White guy?
I've seen him. I know what you're talking about.
I think something, he comes from a different lens of the community.
His father was an officer in the military.
Yeah. I think that I think what he's saying sometimes is right. What he's saying, that's just his own opinion though. Sometimes I agree, sometimes, and that's part of what we need to get to. It's like, well, black people just this, but I don't think he's the voice for Black America. And I think some people try to put him out as the voice of the hood.
And he's not.
Yeah, like that's
he's
just
an officer's kid. His father was an officer in the military.
Yeah,
he's not
right.
He's not from the hood.
That's the worst thing is like we don't have, and that's to your point too, Nathan, where in the 60s and the 70s, the social the Welfare Act got passed in 68, something like that, right? So after 68, that's when and I've had this discussion since I was a little kid, since I was probably like 11, just being with my mom and studying history, and it's like, yo, that was the detriment of our franchise and of our franchise in America,
because black men could not be in the home.
It directly affected the Black and the Hispanic community. It was definitely, it was a two-sided thing where it's like, well, white people who are farmers, they get the most welfare. White people get the most welfare in America, but they're allowed to have their baby daddies there. They're allowed to be married. They're allowed to have these things. Where in our
farm.
Yeah, they're on the farm. Where in our community, we're herded into ghettos and to high-rise apartments, and then we're expected to just stay in our area. So I mean, it's a lot of different systematic things that happen that people don't want to realize. And then people say, "Oh, well, it's not systematically racist." I'm like, dude, this stuff was built systematically on racism. What the hell are you talking about? Redlining, all these things is still happening. All these things are still happening. It's just in a different way.
Hold that point.
Yep.
I got to close out now, folks, which is a great conversation. We started out talking about sports, of course, but, it overlapped into some other meaningful things that we did discuss. I want to thank Nathan Marlowe, who's in Sacramento on this panel. Also want to thank Javier and my other nephew. Javier and Parker live down in Atlanta. Nathan lives in Sacramento. I live in Fresno, California.
Y'all know what
this is Big Sam and Nephews. Please subscribe to this show. It's a great show today, everyone. I want to thank you all for being on the panel each and every week. We are going to have a show. I will not be here next time. I have to work, so I will not be on the show. But Nathan,
next week?
No, I got to work, player.
All right, get your money.
I do got to earn a living, right? I'm just saying.
Hey, man.
But the show goes on. No, I'm not rich. I'm so far. I'm just Well, that's either neither here nor there. Show goes on anyway. Javier and Nathan and Parker will be on the show, so we'll be keeping going. Anyway, Big Sam and Nephews, please subscribe. Big Sam and Nephews is sponsored by My Guy Market at 504 East Belmont Avenue in Fresno, wonderful city of Fresno, California, where the owner of My Guy Market is Floyd Sanchez and the cook is Eddie. Wonderful people. Also, My Guy Market. I'm going too fast. Big Sam and Nephews.
Fresno Social Sports.
There you go. Fresno Social Sports. All right, and that's is another one of my sponsors. Eric DeYoung is the owner and proprietor for Fresno Sports Update, Fresno Sports, so Fresno Social Sports, I should say. Eric DeYoung. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for listening to this show today. God bless you all. Please subscribe to our show, okay? All right, we're out of here.
Thank you.
Peace. Yeah.